I made a couple trading cards for a couple people in our industry, and here's how I did it. What's up, We the Bros, and welcome back to the channel, or the production channel. Welcome to today's video, which is trading cards. And I did want to mention real quickly, Merry Christmas to everyone. This is going to be our Christmas special. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do a lot of writing due to the building process. However, we're going to Carolina Venture Road for our New Year's bash at our tradition at Carolina Venture Road. A couple people that are going to be coming with us this Christmas season. It's a gentleman out from Kentucky. He's actually a part of the YouTube channel. They're starting to grow right now. So if you guys would be able to go check him out as soon as we get the opportunity to showcase some of his stuff, that would be fantastic. I also do want to mention real quickly that before we get too far into the video itself, if you do not have permission to use people's logos, do not use them, just because there's copyright and legality in that. So yeah, that's a bit of a no-no. And I know what you're thinking, well, you did it. Actually, no, I didn't. I got permission from each and every one of these content creators that I reached out to use their logo. And if they were uncomfortable using their logo or didn't want me to use their logo, I did not use their logo. So with that in mind, we're going to continue moving forward with today's current video. But before we do that, I do want to pray. So let's pray real quickly. Father God, thank you so much for the opportunity to do this. Thank you for giving me the idea to be able to make these cards to give these guys for their Christmas season. I pray that you bless our family, the families that are watching, the people that are watching, and the families that these cards are going to. Please bless everyone that has reached or that have been reached by our message over the sound of my voice. In your holy and precious name I pray. Amen. So let's talk about the cards real quickly. The cards that I chose and the size ratio that you're going to be looking for this video specifically is a 3.5 by 2.5 scale, or 3 inches or 3.5 by 2.5, and that's the inch ratio. That is the size that I chose to go for this card specifically. Number one, because it was for a school project to begin with, and that was the criteria for the project, and I figured that continuing it would make the most sense. And then the other reason is because most traditional trading cards, baseball cards, Pokemon cards are about the same size as well. So I figured it would be right up what we were looking to do to be able to do this video specifically. Now, here's where things get kind of confusing, because there's plenty of different things that you could do to be able to design these cards. You could design them in Illustrator, you can design them in Photoshop, you can design them in Adobe XD, you can design them in Microsoft Paint if you want to. The possibilities are endless with this specific project. But let me talk to you about why I chose what I chose. I chose Adobe Photoshop to design my cards, and then I printed them off using Illustrator. Now, the reason why I did this is because I like the interface of Photoshop. Photoshop has a simple and easy UI that I understand to be able to do this project properly. Plus, the way that they separate their stuff in the layers panel makes more sense to me. Now, you can design this in Illustrator as well. In fact, you have more tools to be able to do more cool things like drawing your own stuff or adding more special graphics on top of that. So if you're more of a creative person and you have a good prowess of drawing, I would recommend that. But if you're like me and you, for some reason, can't think of good ideas, and if you do, you do them like this, then Photoshop is the way to go. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I'm actually going to take a moment and showcase you the cards themselves. So this card is Andrew's card. And the way that we designed it specifically is I wanted to make sure that the card itself had different aspects of what we were looking for. There's a main focal point, there's one central point of imagery, there's a couple of different things at the bottom to showcase specific stacks or important things that you would need to know, like drag racing, XC, and motocross. Those are the 3 ones that we chose. I added one more for Ian, but other than that, I added the year, make, and model of the specific folder that was there. I also added the brand, Andrew's is Yamaha, and then I also put the location at the very top of where this photo was taken. Now, for a couple people, I did change that up depending upon what they wanted. And also, just so you are aware, all of the stats at the bottom are stats that these people chose. Unfortunately, Andrew's is not chosen. I chose them for him because I wanted to surprise him about cards. Actually, the next part of the video that you're gonna see has him in it. And thankfully, he's not here today because he does not know that he's receiving them for Christmas. So yeah, anyway, I just figured I would give you the opportunity to have a ballpark idea of how I designed it specifically, because not everyone's mind thinks the same way, and thankfully, my way of thinking is not your way of thinking, because if you thought the same way that I did, oh, that would be rough. So with this in mind, I'm actually going to transition to some videos that I did on the computer, showcasing the actual design itself, some thoughts behind that. And if you want the full detail of all of this stuff, then be sure to go check out the WBP channel. That is the Wheeler Bros production channel. That is for all things business. That's actually why I'm dressed up snazzy, so I can advertise for that one more time, because I knew that this project would be a cool project to be able to introduce that side of things. So go check it out. If you don't, I love you. I thank you. Thank you for watching this in the first place. You guys are awesome. Anyway, let's get to the strenuous part of the video, which is the cutting. And yeah, I'll see you guys at the end of this video. I've already recorded the rest of this, so you're gonna see me in the past. I'm sorry.
Anyway. Alright, so welcome to the computer side of things. This is going to be my complete overview of everything I'm doing here, just to give you a ballpark idea of what you want to do if you want to do this at home. So I have this image separated in 3 different things. Right now it is the cutout, which is where the outline here is. You can actually see if I hit effect, it removes the outline. So if I cut that off, you'll see the original image. And this image down here is a fill item that I have that I pulled up that matched pretty well. You can see that's where the image cuts off there. So that's that. And then this is the original image here, right here in this little panel. So I have that separated for a couple different reasons. Because one, I wanted to have the background stuff, like the folders that are behind him, I wanted them to be separate. So that way your main focal point is Mr. Alex here on the Honda, right here shredding. Another couple ideas that I was implementing is the original cards themselves have little details like stats and whatnot, and this is pretty much the stats here, XC, MX, and drag racing. Depending upon the card, you might see something different, like Mr. Ian over at Square One Speed has a specific setting designed for desert racing. I added the location of where this photo was taken. His was taken here. This image is just a PNG that I grabbed offline. I have access to Honda, Yamaha, and Suzuki logos that I have personally remade, so I could use them for thumbnails or for graphics kits or stuff like that, because I want to eventually use Honda to put on the side of my TRX 450, and I also thought about using the wing as well. I've always loved that idea, but I don't know how feasible that is, so we'll probably keep that under wraps for them. And I got access to Dad Speed's logo by reaching out to him directly, and he gave it to me so I could use this for this project. I wouldn't recommend asking content creators for their logos, because unless you're using it for like a school project like this, or for something like that, you might get in trouble, because there is copyright for my logo and other people's logos as well. So don't do that without permission. That is a no-no. Now I want to talk to you about the idea of inspiration. So these are actually my favorite cards. I got this from just like a stock image off of Google. It's got Charizard, Pikachu, and Embryon, which is an evolution of Eevee. I'm not gonna nerd, but this is definitely my favorite one, just saying. Anyway, you can see it's got special moves and stuff underneath it, that like statistics that it gives. I could have gone that route with this, but I felt like it would take too much away from the original card itself. So this right here is actually the stuff that I used for the cards themselves. Pretty much a third of these I could repeat and use. This is actually that side panel that you can see on this card. I don't know if you can see that there, but a little reflectant thing. This little green piece right here that I have selected is actually this corner panel here, just a downsized version of it. I used that to be able to replicate that. I also recreated the team tag stuff. For what we're doing specifically, that would have worked for like racing teams or something like that in the future. But just because of simplicity's sake, I just basically left the name floating, which for a card this style doesn't look bad, so I kept it. I recreated the outline by vectoring the image itself, and then I also vectored the inside based off of the outside shape, which was what gave me this green piece. I actually used Andrew's card as my starting piece, because I had a good idea of what I wanted to do for his from the very beginning. Now, these 4 right here are actually specifically made for different cards. This red one right here is actually designed specifically for Pete Brewer and Jesse's cards. The bright red is what I use to showcase the red on peach Raptor, and the burgundy accents has always been my favorite part of the 2019 special edition quad, so I made sure to add that there. And I also thought that with Brewer's logo being the way it is, it looked better with this anyway. This one is specifically designed for Mr. Ashton Kerr. His logo is actually a gradient. I don't know if you can tell from the top to the bottom, but it's a couple different colors. And I believe this is yellow towards the top, like a neon yellow, all the way down to a really nice, almost like a forest green. Like it's got that same style shade, but it's a little bit brighter. It's more of like a lime, give or take. Regardless, I took the top color here and I put it on this little piece, and I put the darker color here right here at the bottom, just to make sure that I could showcase both the top and the bottom. And I felt like that was a good touch that most people might not have caught right off the bat. This right here is Mr. Jackson Off-Road's logo. You can see his orange and his navy blue here. And then I also did a darker version of the orange, keeping the same CMYK color here. Also, while we're on the topic of CMYK, if you're doing RGB and CMYK, if you're printing off a project, you need to make sure it's transitioned to CMYK, because CMYK is the color scheme that most printers print, but RGB is the color scheme that most of these softwares work in. Like typically, this would be like an RGB white. White's a bad example, but like most of the primary colors are what you're looking for: RGB, red, green, blue, and CMYK as cyan, whatever Y stands for. I forgot that one, but it's important for you to know. It's important for me to know as well. I just forgot what the acronym stands for, but I know what the acronym does, so rada rada. This is Mr. Dad Speed's logo. He's got his purple, his little baby blue looking like thing, and I got the white and gray to contrast. This one's for Andrew, this one's for me and Mr. Tyrese, and I use this one for my dad, Mr. Gurr. It's got the Suzuki yellow and the mustard yellow. This is actually the same color scheme, the baby blue and gray. The baby blue and gray color scheme is actually the stock Raptor 2020, or the stock 2020 color scheme that the graphics kit has, like off the shelf or whatever. Alright, so I actually haven't designed Mr. Ian's yet. That's mostly just because I guess it was a detail I wasn't paying attention to. His color scheme is pretty simple, to say the least, but for what I'm doing specifically, I want to make sure that I have the correct homage to the actual logo itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to select this specific color. I'm also going to save it right here, and this is what I was talking about earlier. You can save it in different ways. You can save it in grayscale, so that's what it would be in grayscale. This is what it would be in RGB for that same specific color. You can see the same color scheme there. But what I'm looking for specifically is CMYK, because I want this to be able to print. So I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to take Mr. Jackson Off-Road's his little piece, and I'm going to add the correct color from Mr. Squirrel and Speed, which is actually pretty close. I didn't realize how close those were. So actually, for his piece specifically, I'm actually just going to change the navy blue out for black, and then bam, there you go. Squirrel and Speed. Group that together. That's the white inside. I believe that's kind of an orange. I don't know if that's orange or if that's more of a red. Pretty sure I'm colorblind. But then I'm gonna convert it, and I'm gonna save it in Photoshop. So now that I have the correct color scheme from the Squirrel and Speed logo, also by the way, please do not take YouTubers logos without asking for permission first, because I cannot stress to you how much laws and stuff that breaks. Like, I got permission to use this logo, and he sent it to me. So just keep that in mind. Trust me, I think it's a wonderful idea to do something nice for your favorite content creator, but please don't do that, because I don't want you to get in trouble. That is not the goal for this video. So you can see his card is set up the same as Mr. Dad Speed's card. The only difference is Desert Racing and the model of the bike. This is actually a 2008 Honda TRX 450 ER, which is actually the same as mine. Pretty cool. I'm glad that I have the same bike as him. But essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to copy this by doing Control-C and then Control-V. I'm going to save it as a smart image just so that way I can have some tweaking abilities with it. I'm going to flip it this direction, and I'm going to place it right here. Now, I am going to hit Shift. If you hit Shift in Illustrator, it'll keep the same size. If you hit Shift in Photoshop, it actually allows you to tweak an image to make it look like all kinds of weird looking. Now, the reason why I'm doing this specifically is because I want to have it stretched out along the top to give that 3D effect that most of the trading cards do. And then I'm going to go ahead and save it there. Now, I did run into this issue with Mr. Dadspeed's card as well. Because of the way I designed it, the orange is also the primary color of the card itself. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to invert this just a hair. So I'm going to take this white and I'm going to switch it over to the color of his logo. And then I'm going to take the color of his logo on the outside and convert that to white. And then I'm also going to do a gray on the exterior. So that way it gives that piece or that connection, that transition connection that I'm looking for the 3D effect. Now I'm just going to choose a lighter version of the gray, which I think would be a better contrast than doing a darker version of the gray. And I believe, yeah, that looks good. So same process, Control-C, Control-V, Smart Object. I'm going to have it saved there, flip it, there we go, done. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one. So now that I have this here, I'm going to Control-T to transform this. I'll place it there, hit Shift again, drag it out where I need it to, drag it down, and then I need to drag it down one more time there, so that way it's a little bit more even. Actually, you can actually use your control keys, or your arrow keys, to get it a little bit tighter, so that way it doesn't look as bad. Right about there should be good. I'm going to hit done. So that is pretty much his card done as a whole. It gives me that 3D scale look that I'm looking for, where it looks like the card is a little bit 3D, which is also what I was shooting for here. I also think that I didn't critique his card correctly. His card is a little bit different. I was really struggling with the idea of how dark one thing should be or how dark another thing should be. And I pretty much have these tinted bands. They're just like black with an opacity on it for here and here, which I really like the aesthetic it gives, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. I mean, I really love his card as a whole, but I love the separation effect. But I think the 3D idea comes through because you currently have it where his head's across it, which I really love that detail. And I use that for a couple other people's cards as well, like Pete's cards like that, Jacob's cards like that. I think my cards like that too. There's a lot more people on there than you think. And then I'm also going to save this here, replacing the old one, so it'll fix itself here. So you don't have to do this if you're planning on doing trading cards on your own, but I would recommend doing something that kind of takes away from the cards so you can see where to trim it at. Now, the last and final thing I want to do for this video is I am going to show you how to trim this. So if you're interested in that, then stay for the rest of the video. Thank you for watching so far.
So I'm going to talk real quickly about, this is going to be really boring, so I apologize. But if you're interested in this type of project itself, it's something important to at least note. I right here, I have two different types of paper. This paper here, this is a 12 by 18 80-pound cardstock. This is the primary one that I used for most of the other stuff to begin with, which is what he's holding there. This is the second piece. It is 11 by 17, which the size doesn't really make a difference as long as you add the correct parameters to your artboard. But this is a 110-pound paper, which really doesn't make a difference. It has the same texture and consistency. It's uncoated. But this was the closest thing I could get to it. I printed this one at Office Depot, and I had access to this at school. So, yeah. And again, not a super important detail, but depending upon the thickness of the paper, it may give you a better result for the type of trading card that you're looking for, because I'm printing these front and back. Nice.
I don't say anything in this video because this is where he knows stuff and I don't. It's flip-flop from our normal stuff.
Woo! All right, so I'm gonna go over a list of things that you're gonna need for this. Obviously, you need what you printed on in the first place. You also need just a metal ruler. You can also use a straight edge if you would like as well, just so you'll have something metal to cut with. And then also, I prefer to use a X-Acto blade, which is typically what I use at school. But you could probably also use something like a box cutter that also works as well. One thing I did want to mention, I don't think I mentioned it inside the actual video where I was talking about the stuff inside, but this paper right here, the way that I have it set up so I can freehand the original cuts and then trim it to spec after the fact. These individually are it's a 3.5 by 2.5 measurement for each of the cards, and that is the same for this one. You can see that they're both measured the same to spec. So that's an important detail that you probably should look into. Also, you don't have to use the background as a specific blank color, but I use this one specifically because gray is not one of the common colors in here. And if it is, it's like Jesse's card here, and it's like a light gray. So in the interest of not making this a super long video, because I have like over 32 cards here that I'm about to do, and then I also have a couple duplicate copies of them as well. So there's like a lot of cards here, almost like a full deck, not gonna lie. I'm just gonna use this one here. This is my excess sheet that I'm using to use Pete Hager's logo. This is gonna be the back of it where you can match up the cards. This is also Mr. Jackson Off-Road's logo and his channel card, plus the 2 background images as well to put on the back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to basically freehand these to start off with, and then after that I'll trim them to size, and then this will just be what you do to copy and paste for each of the cards as you're moving forward, just so that way you don't have to watch me cut out each of these individually over and over and over again. So what I would recommend if you're new to this, or if this is something that you're trying to do moving forward, I would start with a card that has excess room on the outside. So I'm gonna start with this one. Basically what you wanna do is put your finger at the tip right here, and then you wanna get to where your finger has a little bit of a white indentation, which basically shows that you're putting enough pressure onto the thing itself. And then from there, well, I'm trying to make sure that I don't put my head shadow where you can't see, but you point to it and then just slowly drag there, and then that's going to be my perfect cut for that. Then it's the same thing for each of these angles. You basically just start on the opposite side of where that incision is, drag it all the way across, opposite side of the incision, drag it all the way across, and then opposite of the incision, drag it all the way across to the top. And then like that, this card's out. Now, this is the difficult part. If you're gonna start trimming stuff like this, you wanna make sure that you have ample light and you're standing over it so you can see where you're at. And I'll go ahead and show you basically what I'm doing for this so you have an idea. So for Pete's card, I wanna make sure that I don't take off too much of the actual design itself. And for that, I use a ruler. You can also use a straight edge that we mentioned earlier. What I do is I make sure I have each of my fingers are in different quadrants of where the card would be, so I can cover the whole surface area and I can cut completely across without moving my ruler too much. Because if you move or sway too much, you'll end up making your line not as straight. And for this project specifically, that is a huge detail that we want to keep. Same thing, keep your fingertips away from it and drag it out. I just took a little bit of excess there, which should be fine for what I'm doing. I did some bleed on that. So that is the straight edge for Pete's card. And then just repeat that process for your 4 other edges. Just be careful not to hit your ruler before you cut. Make sure you measure twice and cut once. That is very important for what you're doing here. Unless you're like me and you made 2 copies just in case, because I am still a student. I am not a professional by no means. I don't think I'll ever get to that point. This is also a good learning point. If you don't get it in your first go, you can try and move it back and forth. But sometimes if you're not careful, it does peel off some of the interior or exterior of your design. So be careful with that. And then this is the last edge here. All right, and just like that, that is the finished back card for Pete. And then from here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put either a couple pieces of, well, we had talked about it earlier. We were gonna do tape. Dad says super glue. I'm not sure what to do because we're doing the heat. We're doing a heat seal for this. We're putting a laminate over it, so that way these will be protected for, you know, whatever may come. I really don't want these to get messed up, especially since they're going to important people, and you know, I want to do something nice for everyone for Christmas. So I guess whenever he gets home, we'll talk about it then, and then I'll showcase that. But I'm gonna do the cutting here, so that way you're not watching this for forever, and then I'll bring you back once all of these cards are cut out and we're good to go. So we'll see you guys in just a little bit. All right, so this is all of the cards here. I cut them out individually. I just did like a large trim on all of them. I'm gonna do the detail work to that in just one moment, but I wanted to mention what I'm using for this project. This is a laminate pouch. This is actually specifically used for letters, as you can see right there. The heat press that we're using, or the heat laminate that we're using, I hope we can do for this. I haven't done this part yet. I'll be doing this part tomorrow afternoon before I ship them out to everybody. But I wanted to add this piece of information as well, because you can get this from Walmart. If by chance this doesn't work, I will add this. I'll add the whatever I had to go get to fix this, if this is an issue. But I won't know that till tomorrow. So I just wanted to let you know this is what I'm using until I get told otherwise.
All right, so I got all of them done. Here they are.
Sorry, Ian.
Good morning. It's the day after I recorded the small little bits of the finished product on the desk at my work. I'm waiting for my car to warm up before I head to work, so I figured I would do just a little bit of an outro. This was more of a vlog experience about the last 72 hours with this card project, and it's been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate, again, everyone who's helped me with that. I probably said that about 30 times so far. Here are all of the envelopes. It's 8 envelopes altogether. We're sending it to 8 YouTube channels, 9 people altogether, because of Jacob and Jesse. So I'm super excited about this. They should be heading out today, and they should be on the way just as soon as possible. I know that the mail picks up pretty early here, so it shouldn't take too long to get where they need to be. But this was definitely a really fun experience trying to learn how to do all this stuff. I was going to record a little bit last night of the laminating process, but she ended up teaching me a lot more than I needed to know, rather than her just doing it herself kind of thing. So I didn't want to take my phone out and take away from that, unfortunately. So I didn't get that on camera. But I really enjoyed this. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed this. I really like doing stuff for people around Christmas season and the holidays, just to show my appreciation, and this has definitely been one of the best years that I've gotten a chance to do something for other people. And it just so happened to be some of the people that have supported me, not in person, but like through advice or through showing up to ride with us and stuff like that. So it was just awesome, man. So if you guys are interested in doing something like this in the future, I did do a full explanation of everything on the WBP page, the Wheeler Bros Production. That channel is always in the link in the description. just so that way you guys can check it out. It's for business related things, and you can check out some of the stuff there. I'm also shaking because it's like 30 something right now, and the frost is melting off my car while it's sitting in the sun. So yeah. So one thing I did want to get on camera that I thought was really funny, trying not to show anybody's address because that's a no-no. In fact, let me do this. Mr. Ian over at Square One Speed, I am so sorry. I ran out of stamps. I had seven America Forever stamps that I've been using for years. I love those stamps. I'm a big patriotic person. I love America, obviously. So I was hoping to use all of those and send them out to everybody, but I ran out. So I went to the post office. I asked for a stamp, and dude gave me a cat hug and a heart. So yeah. And you just happened to be the last person. I put your card in last, and I got all your stuff done. So yeah, anyway, I hope you really enjoy the cat. Oh, that's been the highlight of my week so far. Anyway, I don't have much to say. I've talked a lot in this video, and a third of it's just me talking, so it's more of a vlog than anything. But yeah, I appreciate once again everyone for helping with this. I also gave our cards to Andrew for him for Christmas, so I'm kind of glad that he didn't stay with me cutting, because he would have, you know, whatever. He would have figured it out eventually. But again, so happy about how these turned out. So happy about all the stuff that's going to happen. And I added some extra stuff in there too for people that we won't be able to see for quite some time. So hopefully you guys do enjoy that. Extra stickers and whatnot. So anyway, I love you all. I appreciate all of you guys for watching this far. If you made it this far, put cat stamp, because cat stamp. And yeah, until next time, we plan on riding the 29th, 30th, and 31st of December for the New Year's bash that they normally do. We have a gentleman coming down from Kentucky. He's a subscriber of ours, and he wants to get into the YouTube realm. So what better way than to introduce him to Carolina Venture Road, and he's coming down to ride with us, so I ain't got a problem with that. He apparently has a Quadzilla at his disposal. He had mentioned that he might be bringing that, and that'll be the first time I've actually ever seen a Quadzilla, so that'd be kind of a cool experience to get on camera. Anyway, I will see you guys for that video and other videos if you watch the channel, and yeah, see you guys next time. Have a good one. Oh yeah, before I forget about it, Merry Christmas everyone. Hope to see you in the new year. I'm on 10 with my roadies. Shout out my homies, we gon' ball for them trophies. They can't hold me, thinking God, I've been chosen. Go through the motions all them times, I was hopeless. Now we the coldest. Look, I've been trying to tell y'all since like 1-3. Got my soul up in the trunk, get my God got the key. Spirit trying to